are not adapted to the local conditions, to the road conditions here. At the beginning, I'd like to have a try. However, I should show you the whole program. I'm the guide for you, so I cannot leave you. I cannot leave the scene. Yesterday, I tried a little bit. I think it's not really secured for you to be on such a taxi, because sometimes you could be very close to a bus nearby. And when you are moving up the slope, it's very hard for the driver to take you up the hill. And then when you are going to the other side of the slope, when you are rushing down, it's very fast. So when you fall down the bicycle, you will only be paid by driver, because every time when you take this kind of bike taxi, you don't have a coverage of the insurance. And the local people, they speak the local language, which is the Rwanda. They do not speak English, so we need your help. Since when we have started this bike taxi, and who are the clients? It's since 1980s and 1990s. By that moment, apart from the bus, the bike taxi is the most used. And then we have the moto taxi. In big cities like Kigali, motorbike taxis are most frequently used. And with the development of the country, the taxis can cover longer distances to connect you with the downtown area and the villages. Wherever you go in Kigali, whether it is plain land or it is a slope, the motorbike can carry you everywhere. As you mentioned, sometimes when the road condition changes, when there is a big slope, it's even hard for us to run the bicycle by ourselves without mentioning you have another passenger on the cushion. Do you have the rules? 10 years ago, the government of Rwanda has elaborated the regulations for the bike riders. The government said that if you want to ride a bicycle, then you should first get yourself registered in the association. You should respect the certain rules. You cannot go anywhere. And in the past, before the elaboration of the rules, when we are moving up the slope, when the driver cannot get you up the slope, you need to get down the bike and you should walk a little bit with the driver. So today, the bike taxis are becoming fewer since we are using more frequently the motorbike taxis. So they can gain about 600 to 1,000 RMB per month. Is it a very high salary for them, a high level of income? Actually, it's rather good. First, they should spend a big amount of money for the purchase of the bicycle. And for the rest of the time, you only have to cover your food and also for the daily maintenance of the bicycle. And usually the driver of the bike taxi, they should eat a lot, because to ride the bike with a passenger on the cushion, it's very hard work. And some of the drivers are wearing the red jackets to show to the other people that I'm a driver and owner of the bike taxi. I have the right to carry passengers. And most of the bikes are made in India. And they don't have many motorbikes coming from China. And they have 30,000 of them. It's already a big number for such a city based on hills. And today you know that there is a special sport event, which is the mountain bikes. It's developed since the United States. And since Kigali is a city with a lot of hills, could you please share with us some information about the championships on the mountain bikes? Yes. We have the Tour of Rwanda. This is classed as second place in Africa. It's a young game because it has developed for less than 10 years. And compared with other old sport events developed since 2 or 3 decades, it's a very young competition, young game. Why it has become so popular here? We have a lot of hills, first of all. And as you know, since the last 2 or 3 decades, a lot of people are fond of riding bicycles. A dozen of years ago, there is a champion of mountain bike from the United States who has come to Rwanda to cooperate with the government. He has set up a mountain bike school in the northern province of Rwanda. And today, our team of mountain bike has participated in the competition in France and in Europe and in America. They have participated in a lot of games and they have won a big success. And I think in the future there must be more players and bike riders from Rwanda to participate in the Tour de France, the bicycle tour game in France. And in the future, I think we can welcome more fans of mountain bikes to Kigali, to Rwanda, to have a try. Here you can admire the landscape. However, due to the limits of the angle, we could not show you the whole picture of the city. And now we are about to get on our car and go to a higher place to show you the whole picture of the city. And during our trip, we will show you the special characters. Now we are about to get on the car of Lao Luo. This is also an old car. I could give you some introduction on the car. And the driver is to the right. Actually, according to the road rules, you should drive the car with the driver to the left hand. For Rwanda, this country with 12 million people, they have only 300,000 vehicles. It's not a very big number. However, the Volkswagen has started to do the assembling work of the vehicle in Rwanda in place. And some Chinese enterprises, they are also coming to Umsanze, the northern province of Rwanda, to assemble the vehicles and the buses, the cars. From this side, you could see the green land and mountains covered by the green trees. Before coming to the place, I had a question. Since Kigali has very few plain land, why don't we profit from this land to build up the houses and residences instead of growing trees on these plains? However, due to the environmental protection reason, the government has decided to devote this plain to wetland protection. So they decided to build the residences and the houses on the hills. When you go to a restaurant, you could also find out that people are very aware of the protection of the environment. They will not use the plastic when you are asking for a takeaway service. They will give you paper bags instead of plastic bags. Yes, Rwanda is a relatively small country. We have limited resources. If we don't reserve the existing resources, in the future, we cannot find a way out. We need to keep in mind the long-term development. I think it's a very good choice made by our government. At the very beginning, not everyone could understand this choice of the government. Luckily today, nearly 100% of the population is on the side of the government. Although we are relatively poor, we are doing a very good job in protecting the environment, and this in return has brought to us a lot of benefits. As we have mentioned before, this is a small country with 12 million people, so the density of the population is relatively high. However, in this context, the government has still decided to reserve the plain land for the wetland protection instead of building up the houses. Today, the country is developing at a very fast speed, and the population is going all the way up. This is the old city area, a place for you to know the history of the country. From those buildings, you can still tell how the city looked like in the past. The population density is very high. The residences should also catch up with the growth of the population. For the next year, we are asking the construction of another 60,000 apartments for the local people. Here you can take a bus to Kenya and even to South Africa. Look at those red vehicles. They are buses for other countries. If you want to travel from Kigali, from Rwanda to South Africa, it will take you 1 week. The fee is not very high. And you sleep on the bus. It's not very costly, but the only problem is the time. Kigali has been designated as the capital city of Rwanda in 1970. by that moment, the whole population of the country is not as high as today. However, as we can see from the camera, this is a very dynamic city.
对，现在是基加利的所有的
in Kigali,
去别的省和基加利内部的这些大的路，
inside the capital city, we are expanding the roads, and also we are repairing the road condition for those routes connecting the capital city, Kigali, and other provinces. For the old city part, we used to have the biggest market in Kigali, but we have abandoned that. We used to have the biggest market to our right hand, and now it's demolished. We need to build a new market on site. It's also an important place to do commerce with other countries. And to our left hand is the wetland. In the future, there will be an artificial lake. So, in the future, with the construction of the artificial lake, this is a site for entertainment and for tourism. It's also a gateway for the capital city. We are moving up the hill, and very soon we could give you the whole view, the whole picture of the capital city, Kigali. We are entering into the city. It's very clean on the roads. And this clean condition of the road is due to the hard work of the people, because every week by Saturday, people will work for the whole day, and from 7 to 11, everyone should participate in the cleaning up of the roads. And when the Chinese tourists come to the place, they are very impressed by this clean road condition. I'd like to ask you a question. By the end of this month, imagine that my family need to clean up the roads. We need to participate in the cleaning up. Which area will we take care of? You are in a community or in an organization, and it's up to your organization or your community to do the organization work. And people working in the direction group will make a decision before Saturday. They will discuss what is the most urgent problem to deal with, whether we should cut the grass in a certain place or we need to clean up a certain place, or for a elderly person, for an old man, he is not capable of taking care of his own garden, so we need to go to his house to help him. This is a very important thing about Kigali, and another character of Kigali is security. Maybe in some other African cities, usually they have an issue of security. Now we're about to get off the car. We are in the CBD, the downtown area of Kigali. It's very fast by car, however, you still need to circle around a little bit due to the hill condition. So let's get back to the topic of the security. We are deeply impressed by the security conditions here in the city. It's very good, it's very secured.
我们现在就来到了最大的这样一个花园转盘，也是相当于是
This is a round point, and it's a landmark of Kigali.
介绍一下基加利这个旅游业。
I'd like to say something more about the tourism. Just now we have talked about security, and the good security conditions here are the baseline for the tourism to attract more tourists. When I'm here, I could get out of my house at midnight. I do not have to worry about my security. Why it is so secured? What kind of measures has the government adopted? First of all, you should get to know the history of Rwanda. We have gone through bad things in history. 25 years ago, we have decided that we will no longer ignore the issue of security. The government has allocated a lot of money to support this issue, and the local people finally they can understand how important it is to have a very secure environment. So for local people, it's everybody's responsibility to contribute to the secure environment. Okay, with the security and the beautiful landscape and scenery, that's why we have this fast development tourism here. And on the streets, I have encountered a lot of foreigners, the foreign tourists coming here. Last year, Rwanda has received 1.2 million tourists. It's the same level as Kenya. However, you should know that Rwanda is much smaller than Kenya, and every day there are 10 international flights arriving in the airport of Rwanda, and every day they can receive the entry of 3,000 people. Rwanda is devoted to developing tourism, and in order to do so, the government has contributed a lot to the construction of the tourism facility and the accommodation facility. This is the downtown area referred to as CBD. So let's walk a little bit. Later we will show you the whole picture of the city from a higher point. Talking about tourism, we should mention the chimpanzee. It's in the vocational forest park. Currently, we have 880 mountain gorillas here in the country. In order to have a look at those mountain gorillas, you need to pay now $1,500. This price has climbed a great deal in recent years, because in the past I remember the price was only at $750 US. You have seen those mountain gorillas? Yes, once only. When you go to see the mountain gorilla, first you should drive to the volcano forest park, which is 100 kilometers away from the capital city. You have different ways to choose. First of all, you need to get to the entry of the volcano forest park. And inside the park there are guides. They know where the gorillas are, because they spend the whole day with the gorillas. The guide may tell you you should walk 2 hours or 7 hours in the mountain in order to get to the gorillas. For the tourists in China, many of them already know the mountain gorilla, and there is a program of tracking the mountain gorillas. This program could become more and more popular in the future. I'm confident in that, because the government of Rwanda is also promoting the program. Before coming to the place, I've followed the reports. They say that the CBD is the garden of the city, and Kigali is like the Singapore in Africa, in Rwanda. And they are making a comparison between Singapore and Kigali. Today is the weekend. Most of the people are staying at home, so not so many vehicles on the road. Talking about the garden city and talking about Singapore, the Kagame, the leader, has expressed his hope to develop the city as Singapore City. They have even invited the consultants from Singapore in order to adapt the experience of Singapore's development to Kigali's development. That's why we can see some similarities in the city of Kigali. We can see some footprint or some similarity of Singapore here. And the government at the same time is also working hard to accelerate the economic growth of the city and of the whole country. For example, the development of the industries. That is the status quo of the city's development. And we have seen a lot of advertisement boards for IT products. We are using the 4G technology to do the live stream, and you could see our signal is very stable. This is also due to the hard work of the government. And I think you have participated in some of the forums for the IT development, ICT, telecommunication. What is their objective? First of all, Rwanda is a small country and we don't have petrol. At an early moment, we have noticed that we should rely on the human resources. Human is the best resource for our country's development. In 2001, we have started the elaboration of a plan of knowledge economy development plan until the year 2020. 97 of the country is covered by 4G, fourth generation technology. The farmers in Rwanda can also use the smartphones. 35% of the Rwanda farmers are using some smartphones. Today, if you want to get registered for the driving license, or you want to give the birth card or the birth certificate for your newly born baby, you can go through the procedure and do everything online with your mobile phone. Yes, that's why I say that there are a lot of similarities between the Singapore and Kigali and the whole country, Rwanda. They have learned a lot of experience from the Asian countries, and now they are leading the digital transformation in the Africa continent. Now we are going into that big building. We are about to go up to the hotel, and over there we could give you the whole picture of the city.
们现在已经到达酒店这个安检的地方了。
Now we are at the security control desk of the hotel.
哦，他可能要求我们安检一下。
Okay, we are about to do the security checks.
Eh, 这里恰好路过一个卢旺达的航空公司的卢旺达航空公司
And
的
this is
营业部
a
吧。卢旺达航空公司也是一个现在来看
desk for the Rwanda Air.
存在，因为卢旺达整个国内是没有铁路的，他们现在要大力发展这个航空业。
They are developing the civil aviation industry because they don't have railways.
非洲的覆盖航线，所以现在来看
And the whole country is located at a strategic position, geographic position in the African continent, is considered as the heart of Africa. In the future, we may expect that the country could develop more airlines to connect itself with the other neighboring countries or even farther African countries. We're about to go into the elevator. I hope that the signal would not be cut totally.
不是从这里进入哈。还可以，进电梯信号可能会有些干扰，但是
Maybe we would
网友朋友们也解释一下。
have some disturbances,
电梯都是可以通话的。
but still you can make some phone calls inside the elevator. Now we are in the hall. It's called the United Hotel. We're about to enter the elevator, talking about the civil aviation. They are planning to open another line connecting Kigali and Guangzhou. Maybe by the end of the year, we can have a direct flight from Kigali to Guangzhou. And the hotels in Kigali. As our elevator moves up, we could show you gradually the panorama of the city. Now we are at the rooftop. People can have dinner here and also have some drinks. This is the best angle and best spot to admire the panorama of the Kigali city. And Duo, could you please say something about the city now? Over there is the conference center. Conference center is a new landmark for Kigali. It's the most expensive building. It has cost us $400 million for the construction. It's also among the top 3 most expensive building in Africa. And the outlook, it looks like a traditional building of Rwanda. And behind that conference center is the stadium.
是跟中国合作的建的一个学校。
Constructed with the collaboration of Chinese people in 1984. Airport is to that direction. We can hardly see
这
that.
个山是以政府为主，
And
从
here,
这边是
this
卢旺达
mountain
这个警察局
has received the police station, headquarters of the police station, the police university, police hospital, and the other government agencies, the departments,
内政部都在那
such as the Civil Affairs Department, the President Residence,
不是商务
the
参赞都在那边然后你
Embassy
这
of
个
the
山呢
United
这个我们现
States.
在在的这个山，这个就叫 Kigali Mount Kigali，
And
就是
this
吉加利
is
山
the Mount Kigali.
然后你这个最左边的那边
And to
这
our
个叫
left
加利
side
山
is the Yali
加利
Mount.
山然后在我们后面是最高的叫 Rwanda 山。
This is the
所以在
Rwanda
Rwanda 是可以
mountain.
在吉加利是可以说有3个比较大的山。
So there are
还有
three
应该
important
是
mountains
7-8个小的
in
这个
Kigali and 7 to 8 smaller hills.
然后这个你往下看一下，我们现在
When
前
we
面
look
这个
down,
就是比较有名，很多中国人知道的
this
卢
is
旺达饭
very
店。
famous
如果
one.
你们
It's the
有
Rwanda
人看过这
Hotel.
个卢旺达饭店这部电影，
There's a
说的
film
就是在这里发现的。
titled as this, and it tells the story about the Rwanda
这
Hotel.
个米勒柯林斯酒店，但是电影中呈现的并不是这一家，说电影它可能是在其他地方实际。
I was told that the film was not filmed here, was not made
是
here.
在卢旺达拍的，
Yeah, the film was made in South Africa.
拍的只有1-2个是真正的在卢旺达拍。对
Only several scenes, maybe for the panorama, was captured in Kigali. But the story happened here. The story was in this place.
能看到一个叫
And today, because it's
错落有致的现代化的
a little bit covered with fog, so we cannot see a long distance. But over there, we have a big land with
2000美元是吧？这个售价还是比较亲民的。
residences constructed by the Chinese companies. An apartment with 2 rooms would be sold at $200,000 US.
就是56万美金一套。
And for the most expensive one, at a price of
这个是我们卢旺达的社保公司，然后承包是
$560,000 US.
在卢旺达比较有名的公司但
It
是
is
它
constructed
这个
by a
这个
very
项目
famous
合同
Chinese
是非常
company for
重视的一个
construction.
项目，因为它是代表卢旺达未来的这个居住的一个
And we
形态
think is the symbol of the
包括环保
future residents
包括
of
这个用的
Rwanda.
材料它用的很多是卢旺达
During the construction of the residence, we have complied with the obligations of environmental protection, and we have used the local materials which are respectful to the environment and are adapted to the needs of the people. Over there is the big round point.
通过这里，那么我们现在从
It's a landmark. Everyone who comes to the place will pass this point absolutely. Let's go over there.
这里可以说得上是风和日丽，很多酒店的顶楼呢都是
The weather is quite good.
这里呢就是很舒服。
Usually, when you go up to the rooftop of a hotel, you could feel the strong wind, but now the temperature and the weather is so
加利
comfortable.
山上比较高的一个地方啊，有一些部委能看到这里
And
是
here
财政和经济计划部。
We could see that the Ministry of Finance and Economy, the Embassy of China,
居住密度可能就没有那么高。那边是基加利银行，
over
还有一些商业
that
的办公
mountain
楼
and some
但是
banks
它的背后
and
呢，能够看过去
agencies,
是
not so many residences. This is the Mount Kigali.
哦，也是基加利山哈。 对对对。
This is the one.
您还这一块有没有什么可以给我们再？
Do you have something to share with us? Some information about Mount Kigali?
那么这个我们前面这个是基加利市政府。
This is the government of Kigali.
名字是来自哪里吧？
I could tell you
基加利的名字，这个Rwanda是一个很小的国家。
the meaning of the name of the city Kigali. Although we are a small country,
觉得是大城市。
we don't think we are a small. Kigali means large in our local language. So, for a small country, we want to name our capital city as a mega city, a big city. And over there is the Muslim area. We have similar places with the Hui ethnic groups. In Beijing, you can do barbecue and Muslim food there. The early comers to the place are from Germany. They are German. In history, the traditional capital is not Kigali. It's another city in the southern provinces. And later, when the Germans are coming to Kigali, and from Kenya and the other places, more and more people are gathering here in Kigali for commerce. So, the early comers, they are the merchants. Over there, in Mirambo, the old city, and here, starting by the Kigali Bank towards the downside of the slope, 100 to 200 meters, until the ancient prison. That part is also an economic center. If you are good at making things of whatever kinds, you could come to these two places to show the people your talent and your products. Over there, due to the time limit, we cannot give you a coverage on that part, but I have visited. I think that it looks like the medium-sized cities in China during the 1980s and 1990s. You can buy everything on that street. For example, the electronic products, the products made in China, and also shops opened by Chinese people living here. We have mentioned before the security conditions are very good, so Chinese people, they are willing to come to the place and open up shops. We have 2,000 to 3,000 Chinese people in the city, and those Chinese restaurants, are their favorites. By the end of our program, I'd like to share you one more information. It's the daytime. However, when you come to the rooftop during the nighttime, you could see the millions of lights. Since those residents are scattered in different parts of the hills on the slope, so during the nighttime you could see millions of lights. It's like the universe. So let's our friend Luo to say hello once again to you, to say goodbye to you.
非常感谢大家今天在一起到我的家。
Thank you for this program. Thank you for your interest in my hometown. I hope that more people could come to my country and more people from Rwanda could also visit your country. I think that Sino-African relations can have a very good development in the future based on mutual understanding, and I think both of us should work harder to deepen our mutual understanding. I totally agree with you. In recent days, when I'm doing the interview and the report here, all the people I encountered in Rwanda told me that we should enhance
从广州直飞卢旺达的。所以
this exchange of information and communication. I have also mentioned
明年2月确定了
that
从广州直飞基加利的航线。
next year by February, we are about to open a direct flight from Kigali to Guangzhou. Based on that, we could expect more development in our relations, and today we can have the arrival visa for Rwanda. That's about the end of our program. Thank you for your attention.